Hello, it's Flipaster here, and I'm gonna be going over the Stormgate patch 0.2.1 patch notes and give some analysis on the upcoming changes as I see it. So, welcome to patch 0.2.1. While this is a relatively small patch, we'll see about that. We'll find changes to early economy, which I actually think is gonna be huge. Bug fixes, that's very welcome, we haven't had many of those, and balance changes as well. That actually sounds like it's gonna be a huge patch. I did not expect any balance changes in addition to the economy, but we'll see. On top of that, we are rolling over our season ladder rankings and win-loss stats for the first time, giving everyone a fresh start for the new year. Plus, join us starting January 27 for a Lunar New Year celebration as we ring in the Year of the Snake with double XP for your co-op heroes. I mean, it's cool they do this kind of events, although I think more XP is probably not what people need for co-op, but sure. Support, how to install a patch on Steam, okay, nothing special there. Build Spotlight, double XP event, yeah, it's a 2-week event for double XP for hero progression. But yeah, since you have a level cap, I don't really know why you would want to have a double XP event for co-op, because I think running out of things to do in co-op is like the main concern of co-op players. Anyway, putting that aside, general and various tooltip fixes, probably to update them to be what the actual functionality is now after many changes. The vector's delta jump ability will now appear at the player's cursor location instead of blinking into the center of the target unit. Delta jump ability will now appear at the player's cursor location instead of blinking into the center of the target unit. Okay, maybe that makes more sense to a Celestial player. Fixed an issue where casting solar charge while selecting multiple solar habitats did not work as expected. Okay, so that's a small fix for Vanguard players. Co-op. Castiel's collection array now issues a move command when using right mouse click. Okay, I have not played Castiel, can't say anything about that. Fixed an issue where the throw trip ability was not tied to the volume mixer. Yeah, all those volume issues where some sound is suddenly way higher than the others. That was like one of those. Versus, now we're cooking. Changes to our MMR and Q systems. Okay, let's see. Rebalancing Q timers. Okay, that's something many people have been asking for. Rolling out Early Access Season 2. This is the highly expected one. This includes a reset of all win-loss stats. Yeah, so I'm gonna lose my record of like 2000 games or something, probably more. I should check what it actually was. Division boundaries have been tweaked based on data from Early Access Season 1. Okay. Maybe that means they're gonna be lower, or could be higher too, but probably not. Updating parameters for 1vs1 matchmaking to help to match quality. Yeah, I mean, that's something everyone has been asking for. Like, it's a big one for the ladder, but it doesn't give us any specifics, so don't know what it actually does. So, balance notes commentary. Hey Gators! Before diving into the specifics of this patch, we'd like to share the overarching goals of the 1vs1 team in the coming months. We are focusing on 2 core gameplay pillars. 1, creating exciting moments. I've seen talk about this, making cool things happen more often. This could mean that they're going to be increasing stuff like AoE damage. That's probably mainly what it refers to. And 2, clarity, simplifying mechanics and making them easier to understand. Okay, we'll see. Most of the large-scale changes will make in 1vs1 will be in service of these 2 goals, and our first major update focuses on revamping the economy, with adjustments designed to streamline gameplay, enhance pacing, and improve balance across factions. So economy-wise, what it seems that people are expecting is that the early game will be faster, probably through more mining, we will see. And that's gonna change every single build in the game. So very curious to see. Economy changes. General. Maximum Illuminati income per base across all 3 factions increased from 600 per minute to 750 per minute. Alright. That's a 25% increase in the resource carrying rate. Let's see how they accomplish that. So they're increasing the starting workers. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that approach, but let's see. One card starting pop count increased from 8 to 10. Okay, they are also changing this. Pop Luminite per mine per trip increased from 4 to 5. I think this is probably a good change. I'm not sure about this one. Therium mine per trip increased from 5 to 6. Therium mining time increased. Interesting. So they carry more, but actually a bit slower for per one trip. For just Therium. That is interesting. I have to lab out what that actually means in practice. Seems kind of an interesting thing to make two opposite changes. Infernals, yeah, same, more imps at start. Well, that's good if we're going impressing or camp, of course. But yeah, Luminite mine per trip increased from 4 to 5. Yeah, so this I think is the main change. How they accomplish that 25% more mining, basically. But in addition to 25% more mining, you also get doing metal stream. You also get 25% more workers. So actually your early game economy is going to be like 40%, 44% faster. That's actually a huge difference in terms of like making your first expansion and stuff like that. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Celestial starting prism count increased from 1 to 2. Okay. Yeah, Prism is a mostly harmless unit, so I don't see any issue with that. Prism can no longer directly mine from inline mines, but instead must enhance an already constructed collection array. That seems like a fairly big change in terms of Prism use, because they have been able to previously go to any mine with no array there, and even mining from enemy mines. Prisms enhance mines for 50% additional income. Each prism effectively adds 150 luminite per second, up from 75. Okay. So they're not nerfing array collection rate, but instead they're just buffing prism rate. They're doubling it, which probably makes them up a lot more attractive. But at the same time, they're decreasing the number that you need for full mining from 4 to 3. Okay, so you can get extra 450 luminite per second mined with your 3 array, which is probably also faster to get per base compared to 4. So yeah, no change to collection array gathering rate. Prism now built from deployed corrector arrays instead of arcship. Okay, that's probably a good change, question mark. Prism cost increased from 125 to 150. Okay. Well, I'll say my comment. I have some reservations already building up in the back of my mind. Prism build time increased from 30 to 40 seconds, okay. Prism can now return the Therium to deployed correctional arrays in addition to arcships and Therium purifiers. So you don't need a Therium purifier at a base to collect Therium. Okay, that seems like a healthy change in terms of making it easier to make the leap into collecting Therium as a Celestial. And Therium purifier cost has been increased very slightly. Morph cores now obey combat unit rally points from the quick macro panel instead of worker rally points. So, the expectation was that there's gonna be something done with about the way that Celestial economy is exploding in the early game, but if I'm thinking about all of the changes together, I think the Celestial economy is gonna be even crazier now. Because they can still... I don't see anything here that's going to be making it more difficult to do like 4 array start, 5 array start. And now you can also mass build the prisms at each array instead of just at your arcship, which means you can get the prisms up faster. And your economy is gonna be way stronger than it was before. And you also start with 1 more prism, so you have the higher starting income as well, like other races. So, if there's no other changes that are gonna affect this, we'll see later. I think the early game Celestial economy is gonna be completely bonkers after these changes, but that's just my impressions. We'll see how it turns out in practice. These changes are intended to achieve the following: increase the pace of the early game, accelerate the overall pace of the game, and expand the scale of battles. Basically, through just having more money at your disposal, being able to make more units. And streamline and balance specific Celestial mechanics. Like, I think overall the changes to Celestial are good. But I'm kinda worried about the totality of these changes and how fast they can explode their economy. Because there's nothing here that makes it slower to make a million arrays, basically. It just seems it's speeding up even further the early game Celestial economy. So when we first explored quick economy adjustments, our primary objective was to address feedback from the early game pacing that the early game pacing felt too slow. Historically, we relied on creep camps to compensate for this, but they introduced several unintended side effects. While experimenting with various solutions, including a rich Luminite mine concept, we ultimately determined that increasing the mining rate and starting worker count was the most natural and effective approach. By the way, one effect of this change for both Infernals and Vanguards are that you will hit the max mining on a Luminite mine like instantly. And need to you kinda need to expand or start mining instantly Therium, because otherwise you're just wasting your worker production. So that's also gonna have some implications. The adjustment not only speeds up the early game, but also addresses player requests for larger and more dynamic battles, making the game feel more engaging overall. I think the goal here is at least good, we'll see. We've also received substantial feedback on the Celestial economy, particularly around the following issues. Celestial array income is disproportionately high compared to Prism income. True, this imbalance caused Celestial economies to spike significantly in the early game, and this is still going to happen. The difference is that it's going to keep spiking after that, to even greater numbers. While we appreciated that the mass collection array strategy was viable due to the different expansion patterns among factions, we found it to be slightly excessive. But I didn't see anything to make it less excessive. It seems even stronger than before. By increasing Prism efficiency and improving the performance of workers of other factions, building Prism becomes more critical. Sure, but it also becomes more efficient. It becomes better, while taking nothing away from making the arrays that you made before. Prism Therium mining efficiency was too high compared to other factions. With these changes, Prism are now more expensive, and well, very slightly, and other factions' workers will mine Therium more efficiently. Will they though? The change to that seemed almost to zero. I'll have to lap that out. Because they take longer to mine now, even though they bring back one more per trip. This ensures a more balanced and comparable Therium income rate across all factions. In addition to balance adjustments, we worked to tackle some of the challenges players face in understanding Celestial mechanics. For example, Prism could mine from both Luminant mine and deployed correction arrays, which often led to confusion. Darkship was overloaded with responsibilities, creating a frustrating user experience. This is probably true. While these economic changes address some of the complexity, we recognize there still work to be done to make Celestial more approachable and intuitive. I'm also worried about making them more beatable after these changes, but we'll see. Next, we'd like to take a regular look at balance. As it stands, win rate look at follows: Vanguard versus Infernals, 50%, so kind of a boss. Infernal versus Celestial. I think many people would be surprised by this. Like, so many people have been thinking that Infernal is strongly favored versus Celestial. This is still basically a wash. This is the only broken matchup at the moment. Vanguard versus Celestial with only 43%. So yeah, win rates look pretty good overall, with the exception of Vanguard vs Celestial, which we believe was affected by changes to hedgehogs in the previous patch. Additionally, players have frequently highlighted two issues: the relative imbalance of the Celestial economy and Vanguard's difficulty in balancing more greedy strategies. Yeah. Below are the balance-related adjustments we have included in this patch. So this is gonna be a huge patch. It has so much balance stuff. Hedgehog. Damage changed from 8 plus 7 versus heavy to 10 plus 5 versus heavy. So same damage as before, but slightly less split. I think these kind of changes are overall good. Like I've talked before about how I don't think it's good for damage bonus to be this excessive, like double damage to certain units basically. I think getting a bonus damage is good, but it shouldn't be this polarized. So I think making them a bit more closer to each other is good. At the same time, Hedgehog armor decreased from 5 to 0, so that's like 5% less damage taken, I guess. I don't think it's that impactful, but sure. Exo, health increased from 130 to 145. Damage changed. Ooh, from 12 plus 6 versus heavy to 14 plus 3 versus heavy. Okay. So against heavy it's a damage nerf, but against everything else it's a damage buff. So they will be, if you are thinking about Infernal for example, they won't click down Magmadons quite as well. Well, it's a 1 damage difference, it's really not that much. But it's 2 damage more against everything else, including like Gaunts. They will be way better against killing Gaunts and Fiends, which they were already very good. In the last patch, we adjusted Hedgehogs to make them more specialized against, and also against Spriggans. Like Spriggan has been somewhat usable against Exos, it's gonna be less so after this change. In the last patch, we adjusted Hedgehogs to make them more specialized against heavy units, enabling Exos to counter them more effectively in direct engagement. However, this change left Vanguard with limited options against early game Kree openings. As a result, we will be reverting this specific Hedgehog adjustment and instead address this issue through more change to Exo. Looking ahead, so this change was made against Celestial, but I think it's gonna be a fairly big change against Infernal, where Exo has always been like one of the most oppressive units, and it's gonna be better than ever before. Maybe not better than ever before, maybe it will be better than ever before actually. Looking ahead, we plan to shift our unit design philosophy over the next few patches. Our goal is to reduce the specialization of tier 1 units. Well, specialization, sure, yeah. While focusing on making higher tier units more specialized and impactful. Historically, we believe a large part of the Vanguard beats Infernal Bears beats Celestial beats Vanguard triangle we've had in the last few months is due to how hard the tier 1 units counter each other. Well, with the exception that tier 1 Vanguard units just counter tier 1 Infernal units, period. Like there's nothing in Infernal tier 1 units that counter Vanguard units. It's completely one-sided. And the game can't stabilize effectively. By delaying these harder counters to later tiers, we aim to make the early game more focused on unit quantity and strategic usage rather than unit types. I mean, this is still not gonna be the case in Infernal vs Vanguard, because Exos just hard counter tier 1 Infernal. Like, they just hard counter the whole tier of units. And after this change, it's gonna happen even more than before. So Hornet. Release Skyline no longer requires an upgrade. That's very cool. So they're even better against Infernal Air, which they were already very good against. I think this has to be solely against Infernal Air, because I don't think they're really used against one Celestial Air, because that's not much of a thing. Helicarrier cost increased fairly significantly from 3,000 to 250 to 375 to 325, but now it starts with 3 bombers. And it takes longer to build. Okay, I think this overall fine. I don't know. You can't punish it by killing it after it finishes before it makes bombers now. I think 3 bombers is the maximum you have on, so it starts with full bombers. It takes a bit longer to build. It's a bit more expensive, sure. But as soon as it pops out of your hangar bay, it can do a bombing run for big damage, so I don't know. Both of these unit changes aim to bring players to the fun more quickly, I mean, sure. Oh, hang on. What do we have here? Gaunt. Ground weapon acquisition range increased from 7 to 9. Oh, it's not their actual range, it's just like their targeting range. It means that Archship was drawing aggro from them, addressing a niche issue where Gaunt had the difficulty engaging ground army half a screen away if there was an Archship directly on top of them. Yeah, because it was just drawing the aggro instead of them attacking ground units, so it's not big of a change. Hexen, Miasma made cheaper from 60 to 50. Miasma cooldown decreased from 15 seconds to 2 seconds. Okay. So after these changes, it's now possible to do 2 Miasmas in a row. No longer requires channeling. No longer drains energy during channeling. Okay, this is actually a big Miasma buff because now it doesn't require channeling and doesn't drain energy. If you have full energy, you can actually cast it twice. So that might make it pretty good. And now it has a 5-second fixed duration. Okay. Miasma effect delay time decreased from... And it also kicks in faster. Yeah, this is a pretty big Miasma buff. So I think we are gonna see some Miasma come back into the meta. We received feedback that the Miasma was overly nerfed and players missed the potential play provided by Hexens. This is probably true, yeah. We have reworked Miasma to be more useful, more straightforward and more different from Dark Prophecy. Yeah, I think those are good changes. I still don't think Miasma is super powerful, but I think this is gonna make it a very good sports spell. Celestial Arc Fortress, Fate's End. So Jesus House build basically. Damage reduced from 1800 to 1200. I think this is the Tick Beam ability basically. Fate's End energy cost reduced from 75 to 50. Although you can... So it deals less damage, but you can do it more often. But with a bigger cooldown, okay. Cooldown increased from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. So you have some time to react to it after it shoots once. This ability was solely being used to snipe enemy command structures such as shrines. We have reworked the ability to be better against other structures, but works against shrines. Yeah, I can see that. Morph Core. Health decreased from 230 to 180. I still don't understand. Like, they keep... Okay. Reducing the effectiveness of Morph Cores as a combat unit in order to better mitigate the effectiveness of certain rush tactics. Morph Core rush, especially against Infernals. This is the second patch in a row where they acknowledge Morph Core rush, but they clearly don't want to take it away. Because they are not changing anything that really matters. Like, both of these changes they made in Morph Core in 2 subsequent patches were things that don't really matter to Morph Core rush. Like, it's a very binary tactic. You need to blind counter it with your opening, or you will die to it. And that's not gonna change with the health decrease of Morph Cores. Because it's still the same. If you don't have... if you don't open with a Conclave, it doesn't matter if they have less health. They will still just kill your worker line when they get to your base. So it's very strange to me how they really want Morph Core Rush to still be a thing. Archens. Sorry. Damage changed from 8 plus 4 versus heavy to 10 plus 3 versus heavy. So this is a slight damage buff for Archens. I think this is good. Like, they were a bit too polarized. And at the same time, high energy bonus damage decreased from 100% to 50%. Yeah. Charge damage changed from 16 plus 21 versus heavy to 15, 90.5 versus heavy. So yeah, they're making the difference between the energy shot and the normal shot smaller, which is overall good because it makes them more usable outside of like proxy situations where they are like fighting off on energy bank. So I think that's a good change. The long shot module upgrade now increases the damage bonus from high energy from 50 to 75%. Well, kind of tracking back on that. Well, it's what it is. File upgrade damage changed from 16, 21 versus heavy to 17.5, 22.75 versus heavy. Okay, so it's still a bit less after the change. Following our goal to make tier 1 units less pointed, we are adjusting our changes to be more all around, both in the sense that they'll be less specialized against heavy targets, but also reduce the differential between when they have energy and when they do not. So for example, they will be better against Spriggans now, which is probably healthy for the matchup. Scanner no longer requires an ArcStation, now requires Guardian Nexus. Okay. We'd like to grant Celestial more easy scouting at tier 1, especially in the mirror. And Couple. Gravity Flux duration decreased from 6 to 4 seconds. Flux was slightly more effective against Vulcans than we'd like, which we believe is one of the big culprits around Vanguard vs Celestial imbalance. Vector. Anti-air weapon range increased from 6 to 8, so they're now even better in anti-air. And same with sight. Movement speed against increased from 5.5 to 6, so yeah. The two chains above allow Celestial to more easily fight Infernal Flyers, and by Flyers they mean Brigands basically. The change vectors further enhance them as anti-Spriggan unit, while the movement speed buff to sights allows them to stay on pace with Flayed Dragons. Seraphim, Condemnation Creep, damage increased from 200% to 300%. I'm not sure what this ability is, but I'm guessing it basically just makes them even better at clearing creep camps. So there can be more in the role of like dogs as Vanguard player. Creep Pain Guard, creep damage reduction increased from 50 to 75%. Okay, so yeah, they basically deal massive damage to creep and take almost no damage from them now. The Seraphim wasn't impactful enough in its intended role to justify its usage. We believe it can be significantly strengthened without becoming overpowered, particularly given the reduced importance of creeps in this patch compared to a standard mining economy. We'll see about that. While this is not a large patch, I actually disagree strongly with this. I think this is going to be a massive patch when it comes to balance. We believe the economic changes and adjustments on balance will have a significant impact on how the game feels. Definitely agree with that. We are resetting the ranked ladder and will be keeping a close eye on how the three factions perform. Yeah, we'll be watching. Be sure to leave feedback on Discord or Steam and let us know how the game feels after these changes go live. So yeah, it's gonna be a very cool patch with massive changes to everything. Like all the tactics pretty much go out of the window except Morph Core Rush and Mass Array expanding as Celestial. Those are still there. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. So thanks for watching. You can watch me play live on Twitch pretty much daily at twitch.tv/Flepaster. And for now, this was my quick patch impressions. See you on the other side. Peace out.